Hello and welcome to Indianapolis for the 9th and penultimate round of the 2022 Formula SimRacing World Championship. My name is Edward Hunter, and here's all the latest developments ahead of the United States Grand Prix. Colin Spork and Mitch Hoyer were both penalised for a collision on lap 30 at the Azure Grand Prix, dropping them down to 3rd and 5th respectively. Spork's championship lead is now cut down due to 6 points. Ivan Leonov was also disqualified for doing the final few laps without a front wing, promoting Robin Pansar, Adam Pimpez and Zolt Zux a place each. British team Royal Blue Racing made their debut in the World Championship at Indianapolis with Matthew Williams and Jukka-Pekka Laulu at the wheel. Finally, pro driver Harry Smith fills in at Netrex P1 Sim for Noah Roivers, who is on holiday in Greece. Sander Kallas took his first pole position since Japan 2018 and had to cover off front row starter Janos Braksok on the run into turn 1. It was the hard-charging burst car of Hoyer, though, that took advantage, squeezing through into 2nd place. Colin Spork had qualified a lowly 13th, but was fighting past Dennis Jordan through turn 6 to climb into 8th. Hoyer had already begun to challenge the ground effect of Kallas for the lead, but could not get enough overlap on the Estonian to pull the move off. Jan Vosnica, meanwhile, was challenging Jan Grankvist for 6th. The Super Venturi went wide into turn 4, allowing the Polish driver through. It was to be short-lived, however, as Vosnica then lost the rear end and spun his Netrex 180 degrees, narrowly avoiding Spork. Williams took advantage of the resulting chaos, overtaking Jordan at turn 4. Spork was in trouble on his mediums though, with Grankvist using the DRS to breeze past into turn 1. Hoyer was much closer going into lap 5, and with Kallas defending the inside, he went around the outside of him to snatch the race lead. Behind, Williams was now causing trouble for Spork as the Englishman dived up the inside and then held his line to displace the championship leader. Jordan picked his moment on the following lap, putting Spork down to 9th. On lap 8, Braksok used the DRS to get around Kallas, setting after race leader Hoyer. Damian Skovron demoted Spork down to 10th as Grankvist got a run on Zolt Zux, snatching 5th place away from the Hungarian. Williams continued to impress on his debut, and on lap 16 he dispensed of Zux for 7th position. Spork pit first for soft tyres to undercut those around him, and Williams did likewise a lap later, opting for the mediums. Hoyer then pit in response, handing the lead to Braksok. He slid into his marks and put on another set of softs, emerging just ahead of Williams. Braksok, Siebel and Grankvist now all came in for fresh tyres. Hoyer would maintain the net lead, but Williams jumped Siebel and was only narrowly pipped by Braksok on the pit exit as the two briefly ran side by side. Robin Pansar and Jake Dennehan were both running long on their tyres, and Hoyer made short work of the two of them. Pansar then got too greedy on the throttle, sending the Swede into the kiddie litter. Braksok and Williams made their way around Dennehan, but the Irishman used the DRS in his straight line speed to breeze back past the debutant. However, in the infield he was no match for the fresher tyres as Williams and Siebel both made short work of him. Kallas then made his way through Dennehan on lap 23, with Spork then using the DRS to get past the Edge eSports driver into turn 8. Braksok was then disconnected on lap 26, right as Jordan and Dennehan pit. Williams now ran 2nd, but faced a relentless assault from Siebel and Kallas behind him. Williams, however, was resolute in his defence. With his chance to take the championship lead hanging in the balance, Siebel went around the outside to move past the Royal Blue car into 2nd. Jordan was making progress on his fresh soft tyres, passing Spork. Williams was not done yet with Siebel, however, and a few laps later he was back past the German. The two continued to fight, allowing Kallas and Jordan to close in. Spork now found his tyres starting to wear as Zux bumped him down to 7th. On lap 34, Siebel was finally able to repass Williams, the British driver proving himself to be the fly in the ointment. Skovron repassed Spork on the same strategy, prompting the Dutchman to pit again as Williams once more slid up the inside of Siebel at turn 1. He came in at the end of lap 37 for softs, as Spork cut his way through Dennehan on his fresh tyres. Kallas used the DRS to get alongside Siebel and go around the outside of him into turn 1. Now Red Bull had to act quickly, and they swapped their two cars on lap 39 as Hoyer pit from the lead for another set of softs. Now that Jordan was released on his soft tyres, he could get the run he needed on Callas to retake the lead comfortably down the main straight. Siebel came in a lap later for soft tyres and re-emerged behind none other than his championship rival, Spork. Immediately, the Unicorns of Lovedrive was on the defensive, forcing Siebel to the outside at turn 1. They then ran wheel to wheel, but Siebel used his superior grip to come out on top. Hoyer, meanwhile, was pressing on, passing Zux for third. Grankvist was also making progress, clearing the nippy Edge eSports car of Denahan. Spork was yet again at the mercy of Skovron, with the burst driver meeting little resistance as he rose to 7th. Callas found Hoyer breezing past him, as the battle for victory quickly turned into a 2-horse race. Williams had now caught up to Zux, using the DRS to complete his pass and move into 4th. Spork's punishment continued though as Grankvist pushed him down to 9th. Ground Effect then made their final pit stops, with Zux being followed in by Callas. Jordan was next to slide his way into the pit lane, putting on medium tyres. He came out behind a big scrap between Skovron and Grankvist. The Super Venturi driver tried to get alongside, but found himself spinning up the rear tyres, allowing Jordan to pounce up the inside into turn 4. The Finnish driver stuck it out on the outside, forcing Jordan to take the scenic route all the way around the outside of turn 6 before completing the move into turn 7 in a superb display of side-by-side racing. Skovron was comparably more straightforward to deal with for Jordan, as Hoyer made his final stop for mediums at the end of lap 57 along with Siebel and Skovron, giving Jordan the lead. Ivan Leonov decided to unlap himself from Callas, crucially allowing Hoyer to come out of his stop ahead of the Ground Effect driver. Grankvist then pit for the final time, and Spork's struggles for pace meant he was unable to jump the Super Venturi. Siebel then used the DRS to move past Zux, drawing him dead level with Spork in the driver's standings. Further back, there was a great scrap for 10th between Denahan, Vosnica and Lalu, with the Royal Blue driver making minor contact with the Netrex exiting turn 2. With 10 laps to go, Lalu got late on the brakes into turn 1 and completed the manoeuvre. His teammate was fighting for the podium though, and Callas found himself on the defensive. With 6 laps remaining, Hoyer had caught the leader, and Jordan decided to allow the burst driver past, biding his time and saving his tyres for the final few laps. Meanwhile, Williams cleared Callas to run third on what was turning into a dream debut for himself and Royal Blue. Jordan saved his push to pass and DRS for a final lap assault, but Hoyer had just enough in hand to cover the Red Bull off at turn 1, meaning the Dutchman held on to take his and Burst Esports' first win of the season by just 0.3 of a second. There was controversy behind though, as Siebel overcame Callas and then found himself in the wall at the final corner of the race as he challenged Williams for third, falling agonisingly short at the flag. A superb drive by Hoyer to take his first win of the season, as Williams scores an incredible podium on his first ever World Championship race. Behind Siebel was Callas and Grankvist, as Zux beat Skovron for his best finish of the season. A miserable day for Spork though, with a 9th place finish being his nadir of the year. Vosnica beat Denahan to 10th on the final lap, as Lalu took his best finish yet in 12th. Oldemenga passed Rainey for 13th on the run to the line. Pansar was 15th ahead of Leonov, Smith and Cass Rietveld. A day to forget for Arnage, with both Pinfez and Braxog retiring along with Chatsa Pantelis. Alex Siebel has taken the lead in the Drivers' Championship by the slender margin of just 2 points over Colin Spork, setting us up for a climactic showdown between the two at the last race of the season. A hat-trick of second places has moved Dennis Jordan up to third, whilst Vosnica and Hoyer are separated by just a single point in the battle for fourth. So it comes down to Bull versus Unicorn, Siebel versus Spork. 2 men separated by 2 points, but only one can be world champion. Tune in on the 21st of August for the Brazilian Grand Prix at Interlagos to find out who will lift the trophy. From me, Edward Hunter, and from the Brickyard, it's goodbye.